Titoki Nursery in Nelson sows, propagates and sells local native plants and trees for use in regeneration projects, landscapes, roadsides, parks and riparian plantings for farmers. Owner Tim LeGros personally collects seeds from remote locations to ensure the plants he grows are pure natives.
The nursery was started about 30 years ago in the early 80s by Martin and Joe Conway. They moved here and there were just a few remnant trees, old totara and Titoki and matai. They set about learning how to collect and grow plants just to restore the bush. And from there it grew really. Neighbours wanted the trees and they've now got a QE2 covenant on that block. I met Martin 10, 11 years ago and worked for them for a season. And then a year or so later it kind of all worked out that they wanted to retire and helped me out through the first year. And it all tied in quite well because I'd studied ecology down in Otago years ago and found this nursery with that sort of conservation focus. Mount Burnett's interesting. It's the only little belt of dolomite in the country, and as part of the mining consent we had to learn how to find, propagate, grow and plant out this group of plants. It's the only place they grow in the world. Some of them, they're just different forms of hebes or flax, and there's a couple of other more unique species. We also grow quite a few local threatened plants and working with the Tasman Environmental Trust, which grow them and then they'll get sent out to QE2 covenants or farms or protected areas of bush to reintroduce. There's one at the moment is a white mairi that we've been working on the last few years. It was a local lowland tree. It was thought to be gone from the district, and then a couple of trees were found, and another couple in the Nursery, so we've been collecting from them and trying to get them back into viable populations. These are some of the plants from Mount Burnett that are endemic to there. This one's called Carex dolomitica, obviously with reference to the dolomite. This is a small-leaved divaricating shrub, Caprosma obconica. It's another one that does grow in other situations and areas, but this is a type or form of it that's only found up there. Similarly, this is a Phormium cookianum, or commonly just called a mountain flax, but it's smaller and it's unique enough to be given its own status. And again, this is one of the hebes, which is the type Mount Burnett. So these are black beech trees we've collected for a Project Yanzoon project. We collected material from Adele Island, which is one of the little offshore islands that's now predator-free in the Abel Tasman National Park. We collected some duff and fungi with them from there as well to inoculate them with the mycorrhiza. They have an important relationship and they're growing fantastically well. So these are going to be used to next autumn get planted out on Adele, which has been chosen because it replicates a lot of the headlands where this haki is a problem in the mainland Abel Tasman. So if it works, we'll see a lot more of it through the mainland as well. These are Titoki seedlings. They come up quite quickly for native plants within sort of a month or 6 weeks. They'll probably be moved on to the next stage in another 6 weeks or so. The Titoki trees were sort of common bread and butter trees on the lowlands here long ago, and now there's not many of the old trees left. So it's important we're replanting more of them in the covenant. These are root trainers. The seedlings are pricked out. So this is Kānuka in front of us. The seed was collected 6 months ago, and in 6 months it'll be ready to be planted out. It'll be this sort of size. This is a pittosporum. And you can see the root trainer system really encourages good downward roots rather than bags where sometimes they spiral around and around. And it's cost-effective grade. You can fit 40 plants in a wire frame. The benefit is that you get the roots heading in the right direction, and they're also raised off the ground in little wire baskets, which promotes air pruning. So when the roots get to the bottom and in the air, they're pruned off, and that creates a more fibrous, dense root system as well. This is down just adjacent to the QE2 covenant on the Titoki property. This is Titoki. It varies when the seed's ripe. Sometimes it can be October, sometimes it can be March, so it's just a matter of watching it. And when the capsules start to open up, the fruit around the seed is red to attract the bird, and the black little circle in the middle is the seed. We'll collect them, clean them off and sow them. Riparian planting, it's happening more and more these days. Farms and waterways, obviously, and also councils here in Tasman As part of it, there's a crack willow removal program, and they take out so many kilometres or sections of crack willow and then come through and replace it with natives like cabbage trees and kowhais, pittosporums, carnukas, quick growing things initially. In some farm instances where the erosion's really serious, they're putting in poplar poles as well as natives to be practical about it. Other sections where it's not such erosion pressures, more dense native plantings. I'll go out and meet with farmers and have a look at their specific situations and measure up the areas and work out how many plants they need, and then prepare a plant schedule which will sort of detail, depending on the width of the setbacks and how big the creek is, whether you've got grasses, flaxes, tois, cabbage trees are predominantly used, and then sort of big leafy shrubs like karamu and hebe and things to help shade out the weeds, pittosporum species. With small waterways, you have to be a bit careful with flax because they do end up getting big and they can impede or block those waterways, so that's where often the carex or grass species are more suited. On bigger rivers like this, flax and toitoi are great because if you get flood events, they'll lie down and let most of the water go over and debris go over and then stand back up, rather than having spreading shrubs that are going to block and dam up the river.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.